Hello. I'm gonna make this kind of quick, as quick as possible because it is drizzling, but it's okay. All right, so I have a story time, and it's deep and it's real, raw and uncut for me. All right, um, so where do I begin? Okay, of course, I have a maternal side, I have a paternal side. My maternal side, I am not too sure. All of I don't know a lot of people from my maternal side. I know my mother. I knew my grandmother, which was her mother, and I only know bits and pieces of some stories of my great grandmother on my maternal side, which my mother really, adored her grandmother, which is, of course, a normal thing, right? So normal. And I love, like, I used to love when she talked about her Nana. I love that for her. And my great grandmother actually migrated from Kingston, Jamaica, or St. Anne's, Jamaica. And they migrated from there in the 30s to Harlem. And my grandmother was one of 10 children, I believe. My grandmother was one of 10 children, and I believe she was the baby, actually. So they were like back to back to back stair steps. Because I believe when my great grandmother um, arrived in Harlem, she only had two children at the time. So, yeah. Anyway, and that was like in the 20s, and my grandmother was born in the later end of, I think she was born in 1937. So, yeah. And um, so my grandmother, she had three children. She had a son, I believe. Yes, he was the oldest. He was the eldest. And she had a daughter, and then my mother. And my grandmother was married. Um, my uncle, yeah, she was married, and according to my mother, like, nobody wants to tell the truth about shit. I don't understand what's the big fucking deal. Well, okay, I do understand the big deal, but whatever. Anyway, so my grandmother had my uncle and my aunt. I did not meet my aunt, which I am named after, first, middle, and last name. And my God. And but ironically, although I did not meet her, my when I was younger, a lot of people, Harlem is a small place, and a lot of people knew my aunt. They used to go to school with her, and she they would be like, oh, she looked just like Cindy. My name is Cindy, by the way. She looks just like Cindy. And I remember seeing pictures of her when I was younger, and I'm like, how do I look like her? Like, I didn't see the resemblance, but I understood that sometimes you just don't see the resemblance because you actually do look like the person. You feel me? And I know I do resemble her in some ways, but I don't look like her, like breathtakingly, looking like her. My little sister, actually, she looks more like her, like the smile, the skin tone, the facial expression. Like, my sister looks like her. And this was the 70s, so being light skinned was a thing. And she was fucking gorgeous. She was gorgeous. And lo and behold, I heard another story from my father, actually, because again, Harlem is a small place. And my father was like, yeah, I didn't like that your mother named you after her. I didn't like her. I couldn't stand her. And my father actually got issues with women in general, like the female race in general. And that's a whole nother topic. So he's like, yeah, she thought she was all that. I mean, if you see her, she had every right to think she was all that. I don't give a fuck. If you look good, you look good. The fuck, you know? So anyway, um, my father is a hater. He is a hater. He's a fucking hater. So anyway, I got a feeling that what really went down is he probably tried to get with her, thought he was the shit. I think they went to high school together. He tried to get with her, thought he was the shit. She turned him down, and you know how men do. Anyway, so um my mother told me a story about, so my aunt died. She actually was killed at 17 years old, and my mother said that my mother was 10 years old at the time, and the school my mother went to, that I went to, my brother went to, everybody fucking went to, in that area, they the schoolyard was right across the street from the projects that we grew up in. She grew up in, I grew up in. And her sister came to the schoolyard. It was during recess, and you know how that go. If you know, you know. You your stuff is upstairs in the classroom, and she left it in the classroom, and she left. I'm saying it. I didn't even tell you what it is. My aunt, my mother's sister, asked her for the house key, and back in the day, we was told we had to wear a house key on the chain around our neck. Don't remove it unless you went to recess, possibly. And my mother followed the instructions, and she left it in the classroom because she was going to recess. And she told her sister that she didn't have it. It was up in the classroom. And she said that her sister said that her stomach was hurting, so she really wanted the key, but there was nothing my mother could do. So my mother's sister, she went somewhere, and I believe she was found dead in the Bronx that night. She was beaten and thrown off of the roof. And her father, my grandmother's husband at the time, was a New York City police officer, and he did not investigate. He didn't investigate. So I don't know. I was not around. Like, that's some real shady, weird, creepy shit. It's getting dark. Okay. So that's that story. So, because I carry that name, there's something to it. I don't know what it is, but there's something to it. You feel me? And anyway, so now I did meet my uncle. I knew him for some time. I don't remember the age I was when he passed, but I do remember him, and I didn't really care for him much. I didn't know at the time, but as I grew, I understood that he was addicted to drugs. I believe he fought in the Vietnam War. He came back addicted to drugs, like most of them were. And the story that I know is he ended up sick, drug related. He ended up sick, and he was actually in the hospital at the time. And probably a friend of his, somebody brought him a bag of dope while he was in the hospital. This was the 90s, early 90s. And I believe it was. I don't remember how old I was, but I have very early memories from the age of 3 years old, probably earlier. Anyway. So, and he overdosed. He overdosed in the hospital, so he died. And So there's a pattern of, drug use and just a lot of trauma and generational trauma and especially with the males in my family on the maternal side. So let me move on to the paternal side. My father is the eldest of three. Um, my grandparents, I know for a fact my grandmother was Gullah Geechee, and they was from the South, and South Carolina, and she had three children. Now my father was the eldest, and then I have two uncles that follow behind him. The youngest, the youngest, he was diagnosed as a schizophrenic, and I didn't care for him much either. Like I don't care for a lot of people. Yeah, and because sometimes things just ain't right. And I've always carried a highlight of high frequency, high vibration. And when people are vibrating on a low frequency, they're vibrating low. There's just always friction. So he was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and he was also addicted to drugs, very heavily. And I was a little older to understand that I was like in the thick of it, because not only was he addicted, my mother was addicted, my father was addicted. Like there was just a lot of addiction around me. I grew up, my foundation was addiction. And I understood the energy of it before I knew exactly what it was. And I'm an energy reader. I've always been an energy reader. So, long story short with that, my uncle, he was very problematic due to the fact that he had schizophrenia and was a drug addict. And it got to the point where my grandparents were, I think my grandmother had my uncle, the schizophrenic uncle, at the age of 45. That's pretty, that's up there. And as he grew, it just wasn't easy to care for him, and he needed to be controlled. He was out of control. And just being an adult and having to be controlled because you have no self-control, and then you have mental diagnoses on top of that, it's not easy. With an elder parent, two elder parents, it is not easy. So my grandfather actually retired. He was building their home, back in the South on their plot of land. And they had to leave abruptly, I believe, because there were many death threats towards my grandparents and my uncle, specifically because he was a drug addict and he owed a lot of money. So they had to run with his ass, and they took him down south. Now that's also trauma. And because my grandmother knew my uncle, her child, the way that a mother would know their child, before she died, she knew she was dying. She died of cancer. My grandma. She died of cancer. And my overall belief in, developing cancer it doesn't just come from food. It comes from it comes from trauma. It comes from trapped emotions and things like that. And I believe that she bared the weight of 3 boys that refused to become actual men. She had a husband. I heard that she went through things with him as well that she shouldn't have gone through. She's been through a lot. She has been through a lot, and she developed fucking cancer. And so she told my grandfather, my uncle's father, if He gets out of hand. The moment he gets out of hand, put his ass away in a home. A mama knows. And my grandfather did no such thing. He kept him. And that man ran him bankrupt. It was a mess. And my grandfather died in 2020 of cancer. And actually, the majority of people on my paternal side have died of cancer, including recently, last year, my brother, at the age of 41 or 40, cancer. So the reason why I'm telling this story, oh, it's so dark. The reason why I'm telling this story, the background, is because I see lightning bugs. Oh my God, do you know how rare that is? The reason why I am telling this story is because I've come to the realization that yes, I've been chosen to break the generational curses, but I've also been able to recognize the blessings. Not only recognize, but I've been able to receive them. And I'm not going to label my current situation because I can't say that it's unfortunate. It just is what it is. I've been chosen and I answered the call. And my son actually has fell into the category that not only my maternal side, but my paternal side has been dealing with for generations. And I've reached my point. My nervous system has reached its cap in regards to my son. My son is very disrespectful. He lacks empathy. I actually think my son is a sociopath. I'm gonna keep it real. A lot of parents do not like to see things for what they really fucking are, because a choice has to be made, and I'm not going to I've watched two of my grandmothers basically deteriorate because they've chosen to tolerate boys that lack a sense of self and want to latch on and feed off of the high vibrational individual. It will not be me. It stops with me. I am releasing my son. My son is 16 years old. I have made a decision due to the fact that my son actually has always been very disrespectful. And there was a point in time when I didn't have the capacity to accept things for exactly what it was, because I had to work on me in order to be able to meet the situation for what it was. I wasn't there, but I'm there and I'm beyond. And my grandmother spoke to me and she was like, it stops. You have the choice. It stops. I am not continuing the pattern. I've witnessed throughout my life how my father and my uncles would strategically not do what men are supposed to do, and just, an adult is supposed to do in life, for themselves, let alone their children. Because they figured, my mother or my father is going to my mother or my father is going to pick up the pieces. Hustle, man. Oh, man. And they would do it. They would do it. They would do it. And I'm talking not pay rent, and just living life like they a teenager, a child. It is beyond me. Oh my gosh. Yes, I have witnessed that as a child. I've witnessed that as a grown adult. My own father doing that, like, oh, I'm just gonna call my father. He gonna have to pay this. But then, like, down the, give that pitiful voice, like, oh, I need help, Dad, I need help, blah, 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 whatever. Like, I've watched it. And I say that to say, my son does that. He does that. He manipulates in order, first of all, he don't have to manipulate. That's the thing. Like, I think he just has it in his mind that he has to do that, which makes me believe that he is a sociopath. But I digress. Like, I've witnessed it. I know the energy. I can no longer deny it. When I think about keeping him in my vicinity and continuing to give him the bare minimum when he can't even do the same, I feel burdened. I feel very burdened. I don't think a lot of parents will willingly admit this. I feel so fucking burdened, and I am not in a point within my life in which I am allowing myself to feel burdened. I'm not. I don't care if I birthed that boy. I am not allowing him to burden me. I didn't bring him here to this country to start over and be ungrateful and manipulative and strategically misunderstanding in order to... I didn't bring him here for that. And I'm not in the business of controlling people. I don't give a fuck if he's a child or not. I'm not controlling him. He's old enough to understand that what he's doing is wrong. And he told me that he would purposely disrespect me. He told me that. That shit pierced my heart so deep. So deep. But they're feelings. I felt it. I still feel it. But I allow my emotions to... I honor my emotions. I allow them to do what they need to do, and I release them as many times as I need to release them. And as I've been doing that, I've come to the clarification, the understanding, the acceptance that he has to go. He has to go in order to actually reap the consequences, because I'm not in the business also of putting, taking karma into my own hands. I ain't got time. It's gonna happen regardless, because the damage was done to me. So he gotta go, and he is going. He had to say goodbye to the higher education that he was granted, that I was sacrificing, busting my ass to pay for, so that he can actually experience not being in a prison form educational system. The boy has to go. And it's deeper than that. This is my generation, my lineage is cursed. It's not cursed on my maternal side only, it's cursed on both sides. And I have been chosen to make this decision, and I am making this decision. I am making this decision, and it is not easy. It is not easy. I love that boy. Even through this shit, I love him. I'ma always love him. But I don't like his behavior. I don't like what he does. It's disgusting. So that's an example of spiritual warfare. I have been dealing with, like, When I tell you a lot of my family is if not most, they're karmic. My mother was karmic. My mother is karmic. She's still alive. My father is karmic. My brother was karmic. A lot of people have been karmic, and now I'm starting to understand. Like, it's just like, okay, my son is karmic. I have to make a choice. I taught he also weaponizes my teachings against me. I taught him that, you know, he's been doing the same thing for many, many years, if not all his life. Like, the pattern, it's not just, you know, as he said, oh, I'm just making teenage mistakes. No. You strategically planning on how to dig at my wounds because you know about my wounds that were created by you and other people that claim that they love me, they love us because they were family. He strategically dug in them and added salt to it so that he could re-dig into it. He told me this. So I have no choice but to believe. Well, I do have a choice. But the patterns don't lie. The patterns don't lie. And I'm not going to allow a person that came from my loins to break me down. I have worked on myself too hard. I have honored my role as a mother. I have gone inward and changed the way I used to show up, because the way I used to show up was my foundation was from trauma, and I healed that shit because of the love. I was trying to align with the love for myself, therefore I could align with the love of them for them. I wanted to show up in my highest form for my children, and he took that for granted. So again, this is spiritual warfare, and that shit ain't pretty. It don't feel good. The ones that are closest to you will be used. But it's what you do. I'm an alchemist, baby. I'm a high priestess. It's what you do with it, and he gonna learn. My lineage chose the right one. They chose the right one. Listen. All right. Thank you for listening. And I'm gonna catch you on another one. All right.